Chicago, 2011. A cop is murdered. Police and prosecutors swear they have the trigger man. He swears he didn't do it. How far will each side go to prove they're right?
Like it's just one bombshell after another, where you're like, what?
The story of a PlayStation, a brain-eating amoeba, and the relentless pursuit of justice. Off Duty, out now. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Howdy, howdy, ho, and welcome to Fantasy Fan Fellas. I'm Hayden, producer of the Fantasy Fangirls podcast and your resident lover of all things Sanderson.
And I'm Steven, your bookish internet goofball, but you can call me the Smash Daddy.
And we are currently deep diving Brandon Sanderson's fantasy epic, Mistborn. But here's the catch. Steven here has not read Mistborn before.
That's right, hey. So each week, you'll get my unfiltered, raw reactions to every single chapter.
And along the way, we'll do character deep dives, magic explainers, and Steven will even try to guess what's next. Spoiler alert, he'll be wrong.
Newsflash, I'm never wrong. Episodes come out every Wednesday, and you can find Fantasy Fan Fellas wherever you get your podcasts.
Let's be completely honest. Are you happy with your job? The fact is, a huge number of people can't say yes to that. Too many of us are stuck in a job we've outgrown or one we never really wanted in the first place. But we stick it out and we give reasons like, what if the next move is worse? And I've put years into this place. And maybe the most common one, isn't everyone miserable at work? But there's a difference between reasons for staying and excuses for not leaving. It's time to get unstuck. It's time for Strawberry.me. They match you with a certified career coach who helps you get from where you are to where you want to be, either at your existing job or by helping you find a new one. Your coach helps clarify your goals, creates a plan, and keeps you accountable along the way. Go to strawberry.me/career and get 50% off your first coaching session. That's strawberry.me/career.
Hello and welcome back to the Psych Legal Podcast. This is a podcast where we talk about popular culture through the lens of an attorney and a therapist. I'm Tess Brigham. I'm the therapist.
And I'm Brooke Brigham, and I'm the attorney.
All right. So today we are covering 90 Day Fiancé The Other Way, Season 4, Episode 3. And we have a little bit of news about 90 Day The Other Way, which is, I don't know.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. It is. It's a lot. And if you've been watching the show for a while, you know that it's all the same issues we've seen over and over again. And it's just not very inspiring. And all around us, sister wives issues are happening and we must stay up on them. So
yeah, we have to choose. We only have so many hours in a day. We both have, full-time careers, and we have to go with what makes us happy if we're going to, devote our time to this. So we're not going to abandon Toe completely. We're going to check in with it. But I just don't think that these weekly recaps and rehashes of the same issues that we see every season and now every episode, it's just kind of boring.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think it can be condensed.
So we're going to start doing some check-ins. We're going to check in with this show and any other shows or issues or topics or whatever. We're just going to do some check-ins. So what will replace this show each week will be our Sister Wives rewatch and gossip. The latest gossip, because stuff is happening constantly in the world.
Every week, every day.
Yes, I know. I see tons of pictures of Christine looking happy, and I just love where they Photoshop Cody in the background. Those make me so happy. It's as good as the Bernie ones.
Yeah.
A couple years ago.
Inauguration photo.
Yes.
Yeah.
And very quickly, we're going to remind you at the end of the podcast too. But please, if you like this podcast, if you're enjoying it, please hit the follow button and subscribe, and tell a friend, tell 2 friends, 10 friends to subscribe, download, and give us a 5-star review on Apple.
Yeah. And coming up this week, if you're interested, on Thursday, we have a show about the Pamela Anderson, A Love Story. Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
That is on Netflix right now. So we're going to talk about that on Thursday. That's a really good
it was really
documentary if you want to watch it and listen. And
now
so we're going to be
homework.
doing Yeah. Well, no pressure. You can always listen to it later. But yeah, we're going to be doing, in addition to Sister Wives, when we find documentaries that we are interested in, we're going to talk about those whenever they pop up, and then whatever else comes up that we think is interesting.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Well,
So
today we're talking about The Other Way.
Yes. And actually, before we got on, we didn't figure out what order are we going in. You tell me, you start with the couple that you want to start with.
Well,
we met someone new. Number one, we met someone new. And then it seems like two of the storylines we saw a lot of. And then two or three of the other storylines we saw very little of.
Yeah. Well, I just wrote it down in the order that they appeared. And then just
so let's start with Kris and Jaymei, because they were the first.
They were the first ones we saw. So Kris arrives in Bogota, and she meets Jaymei at the airport. They're hugging and kissing, and they're so happy to see each other. And, it's a little bit of awkwardness, but, they're just both very, very happy. They're hugging and kissing in the cab.
They've been dreaming about this day for a year since they met.
Right.
Since they've never met in person. They've been dreaming about this moment.
This is their first meeting.
Yes,
exactly.
Well, I thought what was so interesting about them was the apartment stuff. I was like, ooh, we're starting to see a little bit of maybe some problems to come.
Some control. Yeah. So it seems odd. Well, Kris said this. She said she told Jaymei to find an apartment for them because I guess wherever Jaymei was living wasn't going to work for Kris. She said she wanted an American kitchen, and she wanted a full-size apartment. I don't know where Jaymei was living before, but she was kind of upset that she said that Jaymei found the apartment without consulting with her, without running it by her. And it was also $100 more a month than she wanted. So it makes it seem like Kris is paying for all of this.
Yes.
But when we got to the apartment, I thought it was a nice apartment.
Yeah, it did. It looked like a nice apartment. And I mean, out here in the Bay Area, right, an extra $100, you're like, whatever, you're thrilled to get in a place. So, but I can maybe imagine for her that maybe if she's really like, because we still don't know how Kris is planning on supporting herself throughout this process. So maybe she's really like said, this is how much money I have a month to spend. I don't know. I just thought it was interesting that Jaymei, it was just interesting that Kris mentions it, that, she could have not said anything, Yeah,
she's already, she's already a little bitter about this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we hear Kris tell Jaymei, well, this is my first night here, so I may karate kick you in your sleep, which is exactly what you want to hear.
Yeah, because of her narcolepsy causes her to have night terrors. And
apparently the more stressed she is, the more chance that she will, have these night terrors. So most likely, because she's in this new foreign country, that there'll be a lot of night terrors. And then they both come out in lingerie. And
before that, you didn't. We would need to talk about the decorations.
Oh, okay. I don't know. You didn't like the decorations?
No, I just wanted to comment.
Okay.
So when they came in, there was no furniture. There was a bed, but there didn't seem to be a couch or any other furniture. But Jaymei had decorated the apartment with like pink heart balloons and balloons that said Te Amo and a unicorn balloon. And Kris was just thrilled. So anyway, just thought that was an important detail.
Well, yeah. And then they come out in that lingerie. And then I was like, thank God Jaymei's telling the cameras to leave, because I wanted to leave. I was like, okay, got it. They're in the lingerie. I got it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just like, okay, enough.
Awkward.
Awkward. It was very awkward.
Oh, and then on the bed, there was two pillows that looked like boobs.
Which is so, I don't know. Who would purchase that? I just thought that was so bizarre. It was really bizarre. So do you feel like it's like Jaymei's really young? Is that it? I can't remember how old Jaymei is anyway. But
I don't remember
There is something very young about her, right? With the boob pillows and the balloons and the...
Yeah, and just the way that she talks about, this is the love of her life. Well, I mean, Kris does the same thing. They're sort of kind of intellectually similar, even though Kris is older.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, they're both they live in a fantasy world. This whole thing about meeting someone online you've never met before, you're going to move to another country to be with them. They're the love of your life. You're starting your life together. This is the beginning of our love story. I mean, just on and on and on with all of these, what do you call them? What's the word I'm searching for? Well, just sort of these, I don't know, like these declarations of, it's just fantasy. They live in a fantasy world, and the unicorns and the way Kris dresses, just all of it, the onesies. these ladies are just not very mature.
Yeah.
And I don't know. We'll see.
All right. Well, these two, I still, seeing them together does not give me any hope. I really don't feel like this is going to work.
Then they show in the scenes for next week, they show they're together at the pharmacia and they're getting all of this medication. Kris is saying she needs this medication for that. And she also has other problems other than the narcolepsy. And she's saying she's going to have a surgery in her neck because her neck is going to freeze. And Jaymei's just looking at her like, oh my God.
Yeah.
So, she's revealing more and she's got more issues than we even thought. So,
yeah. All right. Who's next?
Okay. So then I have Jen and Rishi.
Oh, this whole thing. God, poor Rishi's mom.
Oh, I know.
Rishi's mom's like, I cannot wait to stop having to cook and clean in this house. Little does she know.
Oh,
Rishi's got other ideas.
Rishi's a big liar too. He is. He told Jen that, I've already told my parents, I guess his father's dead, but he said he's already told his family because they live together. It's like his mom, his uncle, his brother, sister, cousin, all live in this house. And it seems like Rishi's the main breadwinner. And he's like, well, I told my family that I wanted to have a love marriage. Yet here's his mom saying, oh, you've got a marriage proposal from the village next door and they're coming over here tomorrow. It's like, no, you have not told her.
Well,
anything.
And also what's annoying is Rishi's not saying, halt, mom, stop. I told you I want a love marriage. He's like, maybe if I'm around, maybe I'll drop by, but I don't, non-committal.
He's a liar. He never told her that. He just told Jen that. He's told Jen that he told his mom that. He has never, again, this is another case, like culturally, it is not possible for them to stand up to their parents that way. If they do, they get shunned and nobody wants that. Yeah. So just like we saw with, Jenny and Sumit, I mean, he went to such extremes, to please her, to please his parents, to hide things from each other, to just hide and be in the middle. And he's still doing it, I think. I don't know what's happening with them, but this is just never, ever, ever going to go anywhere.
Yes. I don't think Rishi wants to get married. Honestly, no. I don't think Rishi wants to get married. I think Rishi wants what he wants. And he, at the same time, doesn't want to disappoint his parents and his mother. And instead of being straightforward with his mom, which is the respectful, nice thing to do, is just at least let her in. I mean, I'd be pissed if I was that mom, like looking for women, bringing them over, doing all this leg work, all the while he's like with this other woman. It's just, and even if they knew about Jen, I think they would still be trying to set him up. I think that, because that's not their tradition. That's not their custom.
Well, and my question too is, why does Rishi want Jen so badly?
Yeah, I don't know.
Like, what is so great about her? I mean, it makes me feel like he's not leading her on necessarily. I feel like she's just forcing herself on him or something. She just told him that she was coming and she does that manipulative crying and getting upset. Because remember, he said the reason why he hasn't brought up any of this with Jen is because she has this tendency to freak out. She starts crying and gets very upset, and he just can't face it. But again, why is this woman so worth going through all of this stuff? I'm sorry, but there's a lot of women out there. Why are you going through all this? It doesn't make any sense. This from the story makes no sense.
Yeah. I think Rishi likes drama and I think Rishi likes, interesting life, drama, romance. I think Rishi likes being in front of a camera. And I mean, I don't know, again, I don't know what the timeline is. I'm always wondering, like, are these people meeting and then contacting 90 Day Fiancé? Like, what's the timeline of like when you find out you're going to be on this show? Because I also wonder if Rishi was like, oh, that was fun. I proposed, or I did this, or I did that. And then when he heard about the 90 Day Fiancé, he's like, oh, wait a second. I'm going to ride this out. I'm going to see what happens to keep getting airtime. But you don't look good, Rishi. You don't. In this. But I'm with you. I don't get at all why he's doing what he thinks is going to happen in all of this.
Yeah. It doesn't even feel like he really loves her. Like he doesn't really seem like he cares. Yeah. I think he did this to get on television. I mean, he's a model / personal trainer. I think he thought he could get somewhere with this.
Yeah.
And, but Jen, she's saying this is the same kind of thing. She's saying, this is my last chance for love. This is it. And it's like, really? This is your last chance for love? I mean, so dramatic.
Yeah. Yeah.
And immature. I mean,
yes.
How could these two possibly succeed? I mean, there's...
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if we need to go through what happened. The one thing, because, we see Jen and she's back home and her family drives her to the airport. This is another reason why the show is hard to watch, because it's like, oh God, another family driving someone
the
to the airport.
parents. I know.
And the same conversation of people very concerned, being like, okay, if this is what you want, all right. We don't, we're not happy about it. But what I thought was interesting was, because we finally see a bit more of Rishi in this episode and meet his family, who, again, I would really love to know what Rishi's telling his mom, like why there's a camera crew in their living room.
Yeah.
Because you have to explain that, Rishi, to the whole family. But he said that if he can't marry Jen, he won't marry. And this is, again, I have no backing to this at all, but I wonder if this is his way of being able to say to his, family and the people in his life, like, I don't want to get married. And like, I don't think he has any intention. I don't think he has an intention to marry Jen. I think he wants to use her as an excuse not to marry anyone. And maybe hold on, this is a big leap, but maybe with the mom, it would be better for him to be a bachelor than for him to marry this American.
But then who's going to clean the house?
Because I don't know.
Mom
She's very tired. I don't blame her. Gosh, she's making naan. She's making these dishes. Like, she's exhausted. I don't blame her. I don't at all.
She's playing matchmaker. I mean, give the lady a break.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, and this is another thing. Yeah. Jen explains that Rishi is not going to be staying with her. And he blames it on the culture, that it would be frowned upon. And it's like, well, that's convenient. No, you can't stay with her, because then you'd be admitting to your family. You live with your family. You're not coming home to them. And they're going to be like, well, where are you? What are you doing?
Yeah, this is Sumit and Jenny all over again. It really is.
It's actually worse.
Why?
Because Sumit and Jenny actually love each other. And wanted to be together. And but for, like, if Sumit's parents would have just said to him, okay, you can be with her, that everything would have been fine. I don't think Rishi gives a crap about Jen.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mentioned this before. I had a client who went through the same situation, and it is, I mean, I asked them all these questions. I was trying to, really understand why, despite he was going to marry another Indian girl, but she wasn't part of the right cast, wasn't part of their family cast. And it was enough for the parents to be like, we can't support this wedding, this marriage.
Yeah, so they really don't tolerate.
So this is huge. Like, this isn't another cast. Like, this is, but
an American.
It's also, you're lying to everybody. Like, is that okay? This idea, I think there's this, with all these 90 Day people, there's almost this idea of, if it's for love, it's okay to lie.
Yeah, it's people. Okay. Right.
And it's a little bit like, your poor mom is cleaning up. She's got a camera crew in this living room. You can't be honest with her about why this camera crew is here. I don't know.
No, it's true.
He's kind of crappy.
No, he's not a good person. He's a liar. I said at the very beginning of all
Yes.
this, he's just a big liar.
All right. You're a big fat liar. Okay. Who's
That's
next?
right. Okay. How about Isabel and Gabe?
Yes. Okay. Where's this one? All right. And again, they were also, not much was going on with them ish. Though you seem to understand a bit more than I did.
I was paying close
What was
attention.
happening?
It's hard because you have to read subtitles. So you have to pay very close attention.
It's hard to read subtitles and take notes at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. You miss a lot. I kept like, stop it, rewind it, stop, rewind it. So, okay. So Isabel meets up with her friends, Samuel and Mateo, and she met Gabe through Samuel. And she says, because Samuel and Mateo are gay, she can be more open with them and talk to them about the fact that Gabe is trans. And, they're open-minded about that. So they kind of start asking her, I forget how they put it, but asking her what it was like, being with him as a trans man, sexually. And basically, in a nutshell, she said that he has a fully functional penis.
Mm-hmm.
And that, when she touches it, he responds, and it responds just like, any other penis. She said the orgasm is the same. And she even said that, he has orgasms. And then she says, but I haven't asked him yet. Where does the semen come from?
Yeah, that's a good question. I would want to know that too.
Yeah. I'd never heard before. This is learning. Isn't this on the Learning Channel?
This is the Learning Channel. I feel like I learned a lot in this segment. I think the Gabe and Isabel story, I think, is the one story that is really interesting, that is really new and different and important for us all to be watching. Right.
Yeah. And it takes a lot of guts for her to go on camera and to talk about this, you know, and she seems very comfortable with it. And so I thought it was a great conversation and educated people around the world. And then they started talking about her telling her parents, and that her parents are very religious. And she says she doesn't know what she would do if she was given an ultimatum by her parents.
Yeah, that's hard.
Yeah.
That's really hard. And then we also see Gabe. So Gabe's leaving. Gabe's getting on the plane. The sister's taking him. The same conversation over again. But the one thing I thought was interesting about his conversation with his sister way to the airport is he said, "I'm worried about getting stuck there." And he used the word stuck. And then he corrected himself. He said, "Well, no, not stuck, but just away from my family." And I think that we're seeing a little bit glimpse here. We may not see it, but maybe we'll see it if they're part of 90 Day Happily Ever After. And I think I wonder if Gabe really wants to be, I don't want to say tied down, but I think Gabe likes to explore. And I wonder if Gabe in a couple years is going to feel like, well, I'm ready for my next adventure. I'm ready for what's next. I don't know. I really like Isabel, and I have very high hopes for the two of them. But I just thought it was interesting the way he phrased that. The one-way ticket really made him anxious.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see when they're actually together and what issues come up. Other than this whole thing about telling her family. If the rest of the season is just this whole lead up to them telling her family, I just think that's just kind of boring. I mean, obviously they're going to tell them. They're on this TV show.
Yeah.
So they had to have told them. So come on, we need something more interesting than that.
Yeah. Well, they're too normal. I mean, they're too right.
They're too well adjusted.
Yeah, too well adjusted. I mean, that's
Isabel, I think at least is. I don't know about Gabe. Yeah, like you said, I think there is still something about Gabe that's a little bit of a, I don't know,
red flag, maybe.
Yeah. Maybe he's not ready to settle down, really.
Yeah, and the thing is, she's got 2 kids. I mean, you can't be doing that. Like, you can't move in with those children and live there for a couple of years and then disappear. Right.
And also, I think one thing that this comes up pretty much all the time. So, like, it's not like Gabe, if he gets to Colombia and he's feeling anxious and restless and he wants to come back to the United States, it's not like he can automatically just bring Isabel and her children. And, this comes up all the time. Like, well, why doesn't he come here? They talk about that a lot. Or why doesn't he or she come here? Immigration does not work that way. Like, you know what I mean? People get people get denied K-1 visas all the time. There's certain countries on, the list where I don't care how great you are, they're not going to let you into the United States. I mean, these are global, issues that it's very, very complicated.
Mm-hmm.
And we only see the people who get let in. But think about, like, for instance, like Angela and Michael, who've been on 90 Day for like 5 years now. He's never made it to the United States.
Wow. So he's never gotten his thing approved, his K1.
And he went on an interview a couple years in. It took him a super long time to get an interview, and he blew the interview and they rejected him. I don't know why they rejected him, but he thought he blew the interview. And he, and then I don't know how long, if you get rejected once, you probably have to wait several years before you can apply again. It's not easy, you can't just bring someone here just because you're in love with them. And so that's a whole nother complication. So he would be stuck there if he's going to stay with her, and, he can't just bring her over here. It's a very long, expensive process. And even if you are able to do it at all or get anywhere with it at all. So anyway.
Yeah. All right. Who's next?
Oh gosh, Nicole and Mahmoud.
Okay. So it's so funny because, we have, if people are fans of 90 Day, there was another Nicole who fell in love with Azin from, was he from Cairo? It was Egypt, right? Morocco. He was
Morocco. Yeah.
Yeah. But so when I see the name Nicole, I always flash back to that. But I think to myself, well, she's, this Nicole's a bit older and she's got more of a head on her shoulders. And then I watch this and I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if she's smarter than the other Nicole or not. I'm getting the more she talks and that interaction when she first lands, I mean,
she's 38 years old and she doesn't seem like it.
Yeah.
I mean, she's like a little child. Yeah. Her mentality is like, what are you thinking? I mean, I don't need this. Watching, they spent a lot of time on these two, and just watching it, just the whole thing just made me crazy. So, I mean, anyway, we start with her parents show up from Idaho. These poor parents.
God,
I really feel for all these parents.
And that mom. I mean, the dad is really like, what he's saying is, I can't get to you.
Yeah.
If you're struggling, I can't get to you. That would be awful.
They're just shell shocked at, what they're learning. That, they learn that she's already converted to Islam, and that, I don't know what other bombshells. I can't remember, but
she didn't tell them about the wedding. They learned it on Facebook.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So it felt like in that first segment, like these bombs, it's like, I didn't tell my parents, I got married, I converted to Islam, it was just like, they're dropping one bomb after another on these poor people. And I don't know. I think that's really kind of crappy. Like, again, you want your parents to help you move. So why don't you treat them with a little more respect and tell them when you're getting married? I don't know.
Well, yeah. And they said something like, or she said something about how many times have you helped me move, and I'm sure they help her financially and whatever. And, she just, this is how she repays them by, anyway. Yeah. She claims that, and mind you, this is, when she got married, it was after she had spent a couple days with him, came back to the US, then went back there a week later, and then married him a couple days later. And she claims that they had some sort of civil ceremony, and they said, well, that's not good enough. You need to have a Muslim wedding, and that they crashed somebody else's wedding, which I don't know if I believe that. I think that was a setup. I think that she maybe got a little tricked into that wedding or something. And then she, 2 days later, she converted to Islam.
Okay, we have to talk about that because, Nicole, you are converting to another religion. You don't even Google, just put in what are the ins and outs of being a Muslim? Like, she had no no idea. I feel like some of these things are pretty basic. Like if you just did a simple Google search, you would have figured this out. But so this is a part I'm trying to figure out. It's like, because her explanation is, well, I just said this prayer and then, I liked it because it's about putting God first and then living your life of, because, putting God in your heart and living your life, whatever her explanation was but so is she so romantic and naive that she just jumps in without anything? Or does she really think, or did she actually spend some time learning about it and just now is backtracking? Okay.
Google is too deep for her. That's too much information. She doesn't care to research anything. She said, all you have to do is say the Shahada. There's only one God and Muhammad is his prophet. And then she said, and she wholeheartedly believes that.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, based on what? And this really gets me. These are her reasons why she wanted to convert to Islam, other than, she believed in that prayer. She thought that when she had children, she wanted them all to be the same religion. She loves how much Mahmoud loves his religion, and she loves how faithful the religion is. Well, all religions are faithful. And she just found it so beautiful. And the first thing I thought of was, Nicole, I really hope to God you don't have a baby, because if you do, you will never be able to leave that country with that baby.
Mm-hmm.
These countries have, if you're a woman, oh my God, like she'd be stuck there forever.
Yeah.
She could never leave without her child. She could probably never get a divorce, never get away from him. I mean, it's just like, oh my God. She, again, like so just, airy fairy,
Mm-hmm.
This is just so beautiful. And these people get caught up in, I love, like our friend Darcy would say, but it's insane. It makes me want to pull my hair out, watching her.
I agree. Cause she didn't mention converting to Islam before.
No.
And again, I mean, but you're in the country, Nicole. You don't see people praying. You don't see people 5 times a day praying, washing their hands, washing their feet.
Yeah. She says she's not going to wear hijab. It's like, well,
do you see any women there that aren't tourists that are not wearing it?
I know. She's not going to do it. She's just refusing to do all these. I mean,
well, we actually do meet Mahmoud, who was very sweet. I think I like Mahmoud. It's just that his culture.
He's a baby. But also, I mean, he's cute, and I can see how he's cute and sweet.
He's a young 30.
Yes, he's 30, but he's very young. This is his first girlhood friend, because we meet his brothers who are much older than him, and they're just like, oh yeah, what'd they say? They call him
the spoiled sweetheart.
The spoiled sweetheart. Yeah.
Yeah. Muhammad and Ahmed. So Ahmed, I guess, is 12 years older and Muhammad's 7. I think that was what. And so that's what they call him.
Their little spoiled sweetheart. So that should tell you something. They say, this is his first relationship.
Oh, I thought this was really good. This is what Ahmed was saying. He said, he, meaning Mahmoud, he acted with no expertise. And I was like, yes.
That's an understatement.
Yes. Well, and I think what he's really saying is this is his first girlfriend. This was his first relationship. And because he didn't have experience, he acted rashly. I'm like, yeah, man. And then we learn. So Mahmoud is saying, oh, well, your wife came from China and she's adapted. And then Ahmed said it was 2 years of war. 2 years of war. And I'm telling you something, in that country, I guarantee you he won. I think it was just beating her down, not physically, but I mean, I think it was just like, no, this is what you're going to do. And finally, she just sort of threw up her hands and we're like, okay, if I'm going to love this man and stay here, I got to do it. That's my theory.
Also, China is a very different country from America. I mean,
that's
China
true too.
has a lot more, their attitude there is very different than America. Their government's very different than America. It's a lot easier for him to kind of get someone from China to comply than Nicole, who's like, I'm going to do what I want. I'm not going to wear hijab. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do that.
Well, and what's really important about all of this is, I love her style and her fashion. I think she's obviously very stylish. Like, this is how she expresses herself. I mean, this is a big part of who she is, and she's never going to be able to let that go. Like and she does not get that. She does not get that, like, this is, he's never gonna fold on this one. He's never gonna, because that is the culture. That is the religion. That is how it is. And she is unwilling to give up her identity. And that's the problem.
Well, and he says, she is unyielding and so am I.
Oh God, this is going to be good.
Well, there you go. I mean, I think it stops right there. And so she's even on the way to the airport with her parents. She's saying that she does not want to go to Egypt. She's not looking forward to it. She says she wishes she had a magic eraser to erase each of their cultures. She's willing to make sacrifices, but can't change who she is to be with him. Well, that's an oxymoron. I mean, it's just like, she's saying she doesn't want to go. She doesn't like it there, but she's going. I mean, what does she think is going to happen?
Well, and also I just want to say that, so up until this episode, we really only saw Nicole's side. We really didn't know Mahmoud at all. And I think it was very interesting meeting him and getting his side of the story and his thing. And what was so fascinating is that she lands in the airport, they're hugging, they're kissing, she's like, oh, I don't know if we can be this touchy, this affectionate. And he's like, no, you can at an airport. And they're walking away and he turns to her and he says, can you button up your jacket? And she immediately, right then and there, I didn't think we were going to be talking about this right away. And just gets pissed. She's pissed already. And I think that a lot of people can see that as, well, she needs to express herself or whatever it is. And it's a little bit of like, Nicole, in that moment, you have a choice. You can act the way you act and start a fight and make it tense, or you can decide, I'm not going to die on this hill. This is what he wants from me. I'm still wearing my own clothes. I just need to close my jacket, and we'll talk about this when we get back to wherever we live, right? I mean, in relationships, you always have a choice of how you decide to react. And if both partners are constantly reacting to the other one, if one of the two isn't willing to sort of say, hey, let me just do this thing so we can move forward, and I'll talk about it later. It's just, this is what it's going to be.
But she's already decided. She decided before she got there that she was not going to listen to what he had to say about her clothes. And she just magically thinks that he'll just go, okay, well, I guess she's not going to change, so I'll just stop bothering her about it. And he's saying the same thing to himself. If I just tell her enough times that she needs to cover up or she needs to do this or that, then she'll do it. And neither one of them have any intention of changing. Yet they think they can somehow get this whole, I mean, he summed it up when he said, she's unyielding and so am I. At least he understands that. But okay, well, so then why are you still asking her to cover up? Like, this makes no sense. This relationship makes no sense. It's,
but they're in love, Brooke. They're in love, and love heals all, solves all. Don't you know? All right, let's move on.
I know.
All right, we've got the new person, or Danielle and Johan, or Debbie.
Well, why don't we end with Debbie?
Okay.
Our new person. So we'll talk about
Danielle,
your favorite, Danielle and Johan.
Oh, Danielle. Well, yeah. Well, last week we saw the butcher shop. And so she actually feels bad about how mean she was to him about the butcher shop. So, but again, I don't blame Johan for these things, because she's like, well, when is it going to be profitable? And he's like, well, it's a new business. Is it going to be profitable in 6 months, 9 months? No. And he's like, well, maybe 9 months. Okay, well, if it's not profitable in 9 months, then we're closing it down, right? Like, and she doesn't tell him that. She tells the camera that. Like, if this is not profitable,
she said it to him. I thought she said something like, how about, she made a counter offer.
Yeah.
Like he said 6 months and she said, well, maybe 8 or 9 months. And then he was kind of like, didn't really answer. And then she told the camera.
Yeah. I kind of feel like she left that hanging with him. Like, I would, if I was Johan, I don't know if I would have absolutely known that that's what she,
it was the ultimatum.
Saying. Yeah. But she turns to the camera and says, 9 months and then we're closing it down. It's a little bit like, oh, okay, Johan's just trying to, I don't know. I don't know how bad his books are. I don't know any of those things. But boy, it's just like, you're not going to get Johan to want to listen to you.
Well, and can I
steamrolling him?
Yeah. And I just want to interject something here about, Danielle's last week when she was talking about how he didn't know anything about business and she ran a business and she knew how to do this and his books were a mess and he didn't this and that. Well, it came out in the news in the last week or so that Danielle filed for bankruptcy in the United States.
Oh my God,
I think
when?
After this, I'm not really sure, but around the time of this filming, I think, and not that there's anything wrong with that. I'm not shaming. That's everybody's right to do that. But it's kind of like, Danielle, who do you think you are? You think you're so perfect.
Yeah.
And you're scolding Johan for wanting to start a business and wanting to better himself and talking down to him and making it sound like you're Warren Buffett when you're not. It's just very hypocritical and rude.
Yes.
And, and this whole lifestyle she was pretending to lead in New York turned out to kind of be a farce, like she was deeply in debt. I don't think she had a profitable business in whatever she was doing, her yoga and wellness or whatever stuff. Anyway, it's just very, it just contributes to the fact that she's just a bitch.
Yeah. Well, and I think when she says I have a yoga and wellness business, I don't think she has a brick and mortar business.
No,
I
she
think
rents space from people and teaches classes.
Exactly. And that is very different because it's very different when you rent the place and you have employees and you're following
paying
all the
bills. And
she's an independent. She's a 1099 independent contractor where she kind of and she had a full-time job. So she would teach yoga here, teach yoga there. That's not a business. That's not like a serious business. It's a business.
No, it's a side hustle.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, she's a high school teacher. And she was living, above her means and, her skincare regimen, whatever.
So it's like spend all her money on the skincare.
Exactly. So don't be criticizing Johan. Jeez.
Yeah. Well, and so then we see them go and looking at apartments and Danielle lists everything she wants in an apartment. 2-bedroom, 2-bath, a pool, a terrace, parking, and some space for her to be able to teach her yoga class. And
a dishwasher and a washer dryer.
Oh, okay. I missed those two. So, and she says, that's not too much to ask. I don't have all those things at my house. I would love a pool.
Yeah.
I would love a second bathroom. I
Yeah.
would go for that second bathroom.
Yeah.
But I was like, wow, that's a lot. And so they look at these places, which, when they I realized these are these more modern apartments that are really for expats, ex people that are down there, tourists. These are the people. And, we learn, they look around and then they have this conversation on the terrace about, what the cost would be and what he's willing to contribute. I was a little surprised that was $2,000 a month. I'm not, again, it's way less expensive than anything that would be here, but $2,000 I was like, oh, okay, that's a bit of money, for two people that don't really either have a job or a business or anything going, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I mean, for the Dominican Republic, I think that's a lot of money. Here, that would not be a lot of money for all of that. But in the Dominican Republic, I think that is a lot. And she wants him to pay half of it.
Yeah. And he tells her, and I can give you $90.
He can pay.
Yeah. $90 a month.
He can pay. Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah.
And she's mad.
And, I don't know how much he makes at the resort.
But I thought he wasn't there anymore.
But
I thought he wasn't at the resort anymore. I thought he left that job.
I have no idea. I mean, it'd be kind of, I don't know why he would just totally leave that job before his butcher shop took off, but I don't know.
Well, she did.
I don't understand these two.
Yeah. Well, Danielle, she did say something like, when I'm happy, you're happy. Yeah. I was like, interesting. That's a very interesting way of phrasing that, Danielle.
Yeah, it's like, if you want me to be happy, if you want to be happy, you're going to have to make me happy, which requires, doing whatever you need to do to make sure that I can live in this apartment.
Mm-hmm.
And she wants him to, she says, if he's not going to pay half of the rent, then she's going to expect him to do a lot more cooking and cleaning. And he basically says, well, men don't do that here in the Dominican Republic. He says, basically both people work, because you have to. And, but the women still do all the cooking and the cleaning.
Yeah.
And he was not going to budge on that. Again, we have another unyielding, both sides are unyielding. They're not going to change. So how's that going to work?
Yeah. And Danielle talked about how in her relationships in the past, she gave too much. And I feel like she's really course correcting a little too much with this one. I feel like, honestly, it's just my opinion, but I feel like she thought to herself, I've given everything to these relationships and I want to be number one and I want what I want. So, and this guy's younger than me and he's in a foreign country. I'm going to get what I want. I'm going to come in there and I'll be the boss. I'll be this, I'll be that. Because she keeps talking about how she wants us to be equal footing, but it's like, no, you don't want it to be equal. You really don't. You want to be in charge of him and what he's doing. And you want him to be and make all the money and support you. It's like, or support half of this when he can't.
And he's not going to go for this. I mean, at a certain point, Johan has got to realize there's a million Danielles out there.
Yes, there are.
And there's Danielles out there who will treat you better and who are not going to expect you to pay half the rent when you don't have the same amount of money. I mean, I don't know. Right now, they're just working together to be on this reality show because they think that it's going to get them somewhere. But she's so unlikable. You have to be likable in this whole 90-day world. If you're going to, be on all the shows and get some success out of it, you have to be likable.
Yeah. Yeah.
And she's just not.
Because the people that are villains, I mean, I guess it depends on, some people have different villains than others. Some quote unquote villains have managed to kind of move forward. But, she has, Danielle, she has like little or no self-awareness. So no self-awareness for someone who's so in touch with herself and the world, no self-awareness whatsoever.
Yeah. Cause I think like even the villains, you have to have some degree of vulnerability, like Angela from Michael and Angela. Like sometimes, especially lately, she can act really vile, but she's always had this vulnerability about her where she's not afraid to cry and break down and talk about, how difficult things are for her and how hurt she is by this or that. I don't see Danielle ever doing that. Like being vulnerable.
Yeah. No, you're right. You're right.
In my opinion.
All right. So let's move on to our last person, but who is also a new other way person. I don't even know what to call these people anymore. So this is Debbie. She's 67 and she's from Sugar Hill, Georgia. And she's an interesting one, too.
Yeah.
I mean, her artwork is quite fascinating. I had to pause that. I had to pause on her artwork and really look at it because it was interesting. But she's, she says she's a little eccentric. She's quirky. She grew up in chaos and her mom had mental health issues and she had no normalcy or structure. And she had no idea what a healthy relationship looked like. And all of this stuff is huge because you can see it in the artwork that it's still chaos and she's still in pain just based on that art alone. I was like, okay, this is someone who's really never dealt with what happened to her as a child.
Well, yeah. And then she had 2 marriages that ended badly. And, she kind of had to raise her kids herself, it seems like.
Yeah. Well, the first one only lasted 4 years. She had a son, Julian, but he was an alcoholic and womanizer. And then the second marriage lasted 23 years and they had a daughter. But then he was traveling a lot for work and she found out that he had a whole, I didn't know it was another family, but it sounds like he had a girlfriend
in another country.
Yes. So that was a little shocking. And so she decided to swear off men until she meets Osama, the love of her life.
Yeah. And she is, I have to say, like, if she wasn't on this show and you just saw her, like her jewelry and all that stuff, and I thought it was really cool. And she's just kind of this eccentric artist type, and she has a really cool apartment with all this interesting stuff. She seems like a real Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that when I was looking at the painting, she does then explain the painting or what she's painting, but it's, it's like, it's a castle with a quote unquote Prince Charming, but he's all in black. And then we've got this lion or monster that's looking out over, this relationship. And there's a black hawk coming out, right? There's like a lion on top and a black hawk coming from the bottom. And then she's a skeleton. And it was just like, woo, okay.
Yeah. But I felt like, I kind of felt like she was doing that for the show.
Maybe.
I don't think that's her normal genre of painting.
Okay.
I
really didn't look at her jewelry enough. I mean, she looks like anybody that's here in Berkeley. Like she's like a typical Berkeley, jewelry and art and all of that kind of stuff. So,
so that doesn't seem too wacky. But then, when you hear that she met this 24-year-old from Morocco, but he's also an artist and a poet. And they show, pictures of his, from social media, which I don't know, that could be anybody's art. I don't know if he's scamming, if he just puts that out there as part of his draw. But I don't know. I have no idea what to think about this
Well,
guy.
we haven't met him yet, but I mean, they met on social media. They were sharing each other's art. 6 months later, she goes to Morocco and she says she's known him for 3 years.
She went to Morocco been there twice.
Yeah, but she's fixing to move to Morocco in 2 weeks.
And she said that she didn't know how much younger he was until they met in person. But I mean, what? Okay, so you have a 35-year age difference instead of a 25.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, okay.
But her son, Julian, who's a police officer, is not happy. And we see from the preview of next week, Julian's not just doing this for the camera. Julian's hiring an investigator.
Julian is on it.
Furious. He is very furious.
And he tells her straight up to her face. He said that he doesn't like Osama and that she's being catfished. And her response is kind of like, well, this is my life. Let me live my life. And, I don't think so. And I don't know. Actually, their age difference is 43 years.
Wow. That's a lot. I'm sorry, 24 and 67. Those are decades upon decades of living. It's not 57. He's not 57 or even 45. I mean, 24. It's crazy.
Yeah. 43 years. I mean, that's a whole lifetime. That's like 2 generations.
Yes. She's a boomer. And
he's a millennial.
And he's a Zennial. Technically, he's probably a Gen Zer.
Oh, yeah, that's right. 24. Yeah, no, that's a big.
Yeah. So there's 2 generations in between those two. But I don't know. When it comes to her, she seems to have, she kind of comes off as eccentric and goofy. I feel like she's kind of somewhat of a head on her shoulders. And I think she's, honestly, I think that at this point in her life, she sort of is like, listen, I've been through hell more than once. I've had a rough life. This is my life. I'm older. And listen, if I want to give him money or if I know that part of the reason why he's with me is because, I can pay for things and so I just get the sense that she's like, I just want to live.
Yeah. The problem is though, is that, with these relationships with Middle Eastern men that we've seen, like, was it, Aladdin and,
I don't think I watched that season.
Her name. Well, I mean, there've been several, and it's always like the older American lady and then the pretty young, Middle Eastern man. And the issue always comes up of, they want to have a child, and even like with Angela and Michael. And I mean, unless Osama really has no cultural constraints on him and his family, doesn't expect him to have a child. I wonder what his family thinks of all this. It's like, it's the same issues that always come up. So it's not going to be fun. It's not going to be like, oh, she can just go over there and they can just be together and have fun. All these other cultural and societal, religious, probably issues are all going to come into play and just make it so that it's not fun.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, and that's the show. I feel like we've been Debbie Downers this whole time, just like very angry
I know.
and upset and frustrated with this show.
I know. I guess I don't know. But I guess
we need to process our feelings now.
That's the nature. This is the nature of the show.
Yeah.
Is that they present these really difficult situations, whether it's the person coming to the United States or someone from the United States going to another country. And we've seen so many of these shows so many times where it's just the same issues. And I'm jaded. I don't know.
Yeah.
Finding it hard to get to root for anybody. It's like all these people need to go in a different direction.
Well, and also, I mean, when you see maybe young people, like if I go back to Nicole and Asin, right? You kind of have to be like, Nicole's young and, naive, all of these things. I mean, Nicole should know better, the other Nicole with Mahmoud, right? Like this is you've stated the issues over and over and over again. And I guess for some people, they need to like bury this, get to the very bottom of like, this is never going to work place. And I guess Nicole is not there yet.
Yeah. And I also wonder though, if there is a little bit of the, fame getting to people, I really think that there's some sort of fame or exposure element with Jen and Rishi on Rishi's part. I really feel like he's using this opportunity. He's not here for the right reasons. Maybe even Nicole I don't know. Oh, Danielle, definitely. She wants to try to make some sort of yoga business out of this. So I think there's a little bit of that creeping into.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway.
And I think this is why I stopped watching the show several years ago. Was it just, first off, there were just too many spinoffs. There was like too many spinoffs and it drove me crazy how much was repeated all the time. But the other part of it too was just this feeling of, is anybody going to work? And obviously people do, but the track record isn't great. And it's sort of the same story over and over and over again.
Yeah.
So,
I feel that way with this. And I don't even watch The Housewives anymore because I feel like that is a show that is just over. You know what I mean? Like the show that it is now is not why I started watching it, not why I liked it. And now it's unwatchable. And this is, for me, that's kind of heading in the same direction.
Yeah.
With this 90-day stuff. Anyway.
Yeah.
I'll shut up.
All right. Well, if you've made it through this angry rant about 90 days.
Yeah. We're really nice people.
Yeah.
We're sorry.
Hopefully you're as fed up as we are. And, so if you made it through, please subscribe to the podcast, leave us a 5-star review. Really appreciate it. Write a few words. That always makes us really happy. We do have an email, psychlegalpoppodcast@gmail.com. So if you have any suggestions on topics, things, please feel free to reach out. And I think, is that it?
I think so.
All right. We'll see you all next time. We're going to next time with some sister wives. Bye.
Yay.
This message comes from Jackson. Taxes aren't something you can only think about once a year. With investments, planning for tax day is year-round. Fortunately, Jackson offers tax-efficient products. Visit jackson.com for more information on how our products can make your tax bill a little bit less painful. Jackson is short for Jackson Financial Incorporated, Jackson National Life Insurance Company, Lansing, Michigan, and Jackson National Life Insurance Company of New York, Purchase, New York.
Howdy, howdy, ho, and welcome to Fantasy Fan Fellas. I'm Hayden, producer of the Fantasy Fangirls podcast and your resident lover of all things Sanderson.
And I'm Steven, your bookish internet goofball, but you can call me the Smash Daddy.
And we are currently deep diving Brandon Sanderson's fantasy epic, Mistborn. But here's the catch. Steven here has not read Mistborn before.
That's right, hey. So each week, you'll get my unfiltered, raw reactions to every single chapter.
And along the way, we'll do character deep dives, magic explainers, and Steven will even try to guess what's next. Spoiler alert, he'll be wrong.
Newsflash, I'm never wrong. Episodes come out every Wednesday, and you can find Fantasy Fan Fellows wherever you get your podcasts.